Good afternoon. Do you know what these are? I think you do. These, my friends and family, are breast implants. Why am I holding them, you ask? Well, I've been on a journey with these babies, let me tell you something. I'm holding them because I had to cut them out of my body. Unfortunately, my body rejected them and they made me very, 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 very sick. I have shot this video 3 different times and I've deleted it every single time because I could not, for the life of me, figure out who I wanted to target this video to and who I wanted to speak to. This video is going to be 6 things I wish I knew before I got breast implants. So if you know somebody who wants breast implants, or if you just got breast implants, or if you're thinking about getting rid of breast implants, this video is 100% for you. Now, I normally post about mental health and relationships. So before all of y'all leave me, there is going to be some of that in here too. Not so much the relationships, a little bit, but definitely I'm going to touch on anxiety, depression, and confidence. So don't go anywhere if you're one of my mental health followers. There's something in here for you too. Let's get started. Did you hear how heavy those were? No wonder why I had such neck pain. Oh my God, it was like carrying weights on my chest. That was insane. You're welcome. All right, BII does exist. Unfortunately, nobody tells us that breast implant illness exists when we get implants. And it kind of sucks because it's 6 one way, half a dozen. I was at such a young age when I got them, like mentally and physically, that you probably could have told me that the illness exists and I probably still would have gotten them. However, I did recently watch a video that really, really moved me. It was like hundreds of women trying to sue the breast implant manufacturers. And it was really disheartening. Now, had you showed me that video, I think I definitely would have questioned it. Maybe if I can find it, I'll post that video down in the comments below so that you can see what I'm talking about. So the thing number 1 is I wish that I knew that breast implant illness exists. A lot of doctors don't even know that it exists, unfortunately. There is no test that can prove or disprove that your body is rejecting any type of implant, be it hip, hernia mesh, breast implant, all sorts of things. People are even complaining these days about dental implants, like from the olden days, the metal ones, that they're having autoimmune responses to that as well. So BII at its core is an inflammatory disorder that's just widespread inflammation across the body. And that is such a word that is so overused that we're kind of desensitized to it. You know, you have inflammation, take ibuprofen, take Tylenol. But what you don't realize is that some parts of your body, just like they should never experience inflammation. They really shouldn't. Think about the lining of your gut, okay? You have to absorb nutrients through your gut. How does your gut react when it's inflamed and it's angry? What about the lining of your brain? I don't know. I'm really new into neuroscience, and that's not the direction that I'm going with it. I'm definitely going more towards mental health, but it does beg the question, if your brain, the thing that's responsible for your entire body and how it functions, is inflamed, what chaos could that cause? What if you have inflammation around your heart? What if you're not pumping blood to the places that you need it to pump to? So at its core, inflammation can give you a type of autoimmune response where your body is just in a constant state of confusion. It's attacking the good cells and the bad cells. It can't get rid of the thing that it wants to get rid of, which is the implant. So then it starts panicking and trying to go into like overdrive, right? And that overdrive causes a response where your body's just really, really upset and it starts acting out in ways that you never even thought humanly possible. So that's going to bring me into some of the symptoms. The most commonly talked about symptoms for breast implant illness are going to be digestive upsets, widespread joint and muscle pain, lots of allergies and intolerances to silly things. Temperature regulation is huge. You feel like you're going through menopause when you're in your 20s. It's ridiculous. Hair loss, anxiety, and like worsened depression. The anxiety I'm going to touch more on at the end of the video, so hang in there, we'll get to it. The not so much talked about, but are still kind of mentioned, would be like skin problems, chronic infections, nails changing colors and shape. Blurred vision is one that women are talking about. Rashes, And some of this stuff gets really serious. Like there's women who swear they've been diagnosed with actual like Hashimoto's, or they get rheumatoid arthritis, which normally is genetic, and they're like, it doesn't run in my family though. Or people like me, more on the fibromyalgia, lupus side of things. Like there's some pretty serious illnesses that can come from this when your body's not corrected. So my worst symptoms personally for me were GERD. Mine got really bad to the point I would throw up or burp up like stomach bile. And doctors couldn't help me. They would just give me omeprazole, the same thing that they give everybody for stomach problems. And I'm like, this is like helping me in some ways and making me worse in others. And I hate every second of it. Post-nasal drip. That one's huge. Every time you swallow, you're like overproducing phlegm. And that, it gets stuck in your throat. So in a pandemic or in a moment like flu season, it starts to make you question, is this just post-nasal drip, or am I like getting sick? And for me, it was both all the time. It was horrible. I went from having the flu to just a head cold to having COVID, then back to a head cold. And then I had like my flu-like symptoms from breast implant illness, which is the next one that I was going to mention that was of my worst. So I bounced around from so many illnesses that I literally felt sick all the time. I'm talking 4 of the 7 days in a week. Every single week is how bad it got. And when I first started getting these symptoms, it was about 1.5 years into it. And it started with like the digestive upsets. All of this other stuff kind of progressed as time went. So that is number one thing that I wish that I knew before I got breast implants, is that your body can reject them. Number 2, if you do reject them and you do have an inflammatory response, maybe they rupture, maybe they leak, whatever. If they do, those toxins can spread to a fetus or an infant that you are breastfeeding. And so if you want to be a mother, maybe just to err on the safe side because you don't know if you're going to reject the breast implant or not, maybe wait. Don't get them. Do your mommy thing first. Figure that out. Or do the breast thing when you're really, really young and do the mommy thing later after you get them out. I don't really know. I'm not a doctor. But I can tell you that there is a correlation between these things, because it's like, listen, your immune system needs to be on point if you're going to build another immune system. Does that make sense? If you have a rupture and a leak, those things are in your system. Just like the food you put in is in your system, it gets transferred to the baby. And I got to talk to a couple of women who say that they are babies that were raised from breast implant illness, where one lady was like, you know what? My mom explanted and her symptoms like went away. I still have breast implant illness symptoms without having any breast implants, because it was literally built into my genetic makeup, like how I respond to illnesses and toxins. A lot of women say that it takes them a long time to heal. That was one of my symptoms as well, from like cuts and scrapes and abrasions and things like that. And here we have women saying, I have these symptoms too. My mom got rid of the thing that was causing the symptoms, but I cannot because my immune system was based off of that. So again, I'm not a specialist by any means to this, but I'm saying there might be something there. And even if there's like a 0.0001%, I would rather just not take the chance and give these symptoms to anybody ever, because they're awful. So that's number 2, is understanding that those toxins can be spread if you want to be a mom. Number 3, you have to have an out. I cannot tell you how many women, myself included, had to save money in order to get the breast implants out. So here we are like, okay, we know that we're sick. We think that we're sick because of these, and now we can't get them out of our system because we don't have the money to do so. It takes just as much money, if not more money, to explant than it does to implant, because then you have to bring in things like you might need a lift if there's too much extra skin or whatever. But this is like breaking the bank. You're spending now upwards of $14,000 to $30,000 to have boobs and then get the boobs out. It's financially really disheartening, to be completely honest. So for me, I waited so long to explant that I let my body completely deteriorate. And I didn't have the money to get them out, and I was in denial at first. I was like, I don't want to lose them. I want to keep them. So for me, my white blood cell count completely tanked. So when I tell you that I was sick all the time, it's because I did not have an immune system. I did not have the white blood cells that you need to go fight infections and things like that. I was just sick after sick after sick after sick. And it got to the point where I laid in bed and I was like, what is the point of having nice breasts if you can't even go out and do a darn thing with them? So letting myself deteriorate meant that upon explanting, I'm having a harder time recovering than I should be. Because again, I'm lacking the white blood cells. I was low. I was like super deficient in other things. My enzyme levels were all over the freaking place. I was just lacking what I needed to get through this smooth sailing. So that's another reason why you must, and I mean you must, monitor your symptoms and really, really know your body now before you get the implants so that you have something to compare to once that you get them. For a lot of us, it's just like, I feel off, like I don't feel right. But this video can give you the knowledge and power to be like, hey, my vision was on point before I got breast implants and now all of a sudden it's messed up. Hey, I'm losing 10 times more hair than I used to. You know, my skin isn't looking so well. I'm getting really dark circles under my eyes. I'm starting to feel like extra lethargic. I'm starting to get heart palpitations, like something's not right. So if you can monitor your body before the implants and then compare it to once you have them, you're more likely to catch these symptoms before they escalate to somebody like me who just let themselves fall apart completely. All right, number 4, your relationships will absolutely be tested and challenged. What I mean by this, people that have autoimmune disorders or that are chronically ill, I hate to say it, but they're hard to be around sometimes. I was really hard to be around because I was constantly complaining. I was in a negative mindset. Your body doesn't feel good. Your brain doesn't feel good. You as a person are struggling. So you start to complain a lot, or you're not able to go do things, and people will invite you and you're having to decline all the time because you don't feel good or you can't get out of bed, or it's like, I overdid it. I'm overly tired. If your body's not in a state of wellness, it's really hard to have thriving relationships. So that begs the question, you know, is this a mental correlation too? I absolutely think that it is. And I'll say that because here comes the anxiety portion of it. Anxiety and depression are one of the most commonly talked about things in the breast implant illness group. So I'm talking thousands of women are speaking up on this. For me, I had a full-blown anxiety disorder where I really, really had to work to get this like mental stillness where I wasn't just freaking out, twagging out all the time. And now my brain is not like that. It's very much more calm. I'm able to thought process a little bit differently, and I'm not so like hyperactive when it's, you know, we're talking about like my response to people. And for me, I'm just going to say it. I feel like I have a complete different brain without my breasts than I had with them in. And this has been boggling for me to wrap my mind around because I was like, how can it go away like that? But it did. It genuinely did. And the depression, I mean, depression kind of does run in my family a little bit, but this was different. I don't really know how to explain it or put it into words, but I feel like having the breast implants took an already existing mental condition and made it like 10 times worse. Now, I was able to overcome this because if you've been following me whatsoever, then you know that I know how to manage anxiety and depression. I must say I'm finding it a lot easier to do so without the breast implants. So there definitely is a correlation with that whole mind and body experience. And if your body isn't well, your mind's not well, point blank. And so I really would like to thank the people who genuinely stuck around and were very supportive of me day in and day out of this, because I did have some people that left my life because it was too hard for them to be around me, complaining that I'm super gassy and uncomfortable and that I can't eat the foods that I want to eat and that I just don't feel good and I feel really nauseous and burpy. And so I start complaining, and then they're like, hey, let's go do this. And I'm like, no, my muscles hurt. I can't be there. Like, I could see how that would be hard to be with somebody who's like that. So it makes me really, really want to love and appreciate the people who did stick around for me and that were like, you know what? I saw you at your absolute worst and I still loved you for it. When do you want to hang out next? So thank you guys so much if you are one of those people. I really appreciate it because I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, understand that it is hard to be with somebody who is ill, who doesn't feel good all the time. So that was number 4. If you're going to get breast implants and if they're going to reject, your relationships will be tested. There are women who straight up lost their husbands. And I'm sitting here reading their stories and talking to them about what they're going through. And I'm like, I really, really hope that there's more to it than just the boobs themselves. Because for a man to sit there and be like, here's my vows, I'm going to love you in sickness and in health, and be like, you're sick, I'm going to go ahead and bounce. Or to be like, your chest looks deformed now, like you don't look so good, I'm going to go ahead and head out because I want to find a big titty girl. That to me is one of the #1 reasons why it's so hard for people to connect on a real level these days. Everything is so superficial. It's so about like the looks, and I have to be the biggest, strongest guy at the gym. As a girl, I have to have the tiniest waist with the biggest hips. And these standards that we put on ourselves are so hard that it's like, I'm all for the body positivity movement now. I really am. Because I sit here and I look at a human being and I'm like, I'm trying so hard to see past the superficial. I want to know your soul. What makes you you? I want to love you for your personality and how good of a person you are, how kind and how caring and how funny you are, and your ability to make others feel good around you. That's the connection that I'm trying to make. So when I'm reading these stories about women who they're like, yeah, my husband couldn't deal, so he left, I'm just like, you know what? That really sucks, but please go find somebody who's going to step up and be a better man than that, because wow, so superficial. I can't even. People act like our looks are going to stay around forever. When you've seen elderly people, you know that looks never stay around. So why would you ever attach to somebody for looks? Why would you do that? I have the hottest girl ever. Oh my God, she's banging. What a trophy wife. Cool. Talk to me when y'all are 75. Thank you. That's my rant for the day. You're welcome. That's #4, relationships. 5, you might not look the same. Women get so excited about how they're going to look once they have the breast implants that their mind never goes to what they're going to look like when they have to remove them. And I say when because, duh, your breast implants are going to last forever. Doc tells you 10 to 12 years. Now, there are women who have them for 20-something years. And they have their own breast implant illness story. Because for them, maybe it was the breast implant was just so old, I didn't switch it out in time, so it deteriorated my body, left out a bunch of toxins, I just let it go too soon. So their story is a little bit different than mine, where mine, you guys saw them in the beginning of the video. They were perfectly intact, there was no leaking, there was no rupture, my body just rejected them as a foreign substance. That is it. But some of these women, they go through a whole life journey of the breast implant and they don't have issues till the very end when the breast implant eventually gives out. Either way, just understand, when you get these breast implants in, you are probably not going to look the same afterwards. All these surgeons will say, yeah, you might bounce right back, but you might not. And if you do bounce back, you're still going to have what I call Frankenstein scars. So another lady in one of the breast implant illness groups was like, my Franken boobies. And I was like, oh, I love that. I thought it was really cute. So yeah, you might have some Franken boobies, okay? Big scars. Big. All right? You might be saggy. You might be concave on one boob. You might end up bigger in one area than the other. There's a lot of things that can happen. For me, my capsule, which is the area that goes around the breast implant to keep all the toxins in, it's all your tissues, it kind of keeps it. I'm sorry, I keep sniffling. My nose is starting to run. I don't know what's up with that. But when I explanted, I did en bloc, which means they took out the whole thing as a whole structure instead of breaking it up and taking out the capsule in little pieces, which could release more toxins into the system. So that's what en bloc is to take it out as a whole. Unfortunately, part of the capsule was stuck to a muscle, so he had to cut off my muscle. I said that. He had to cut off my muscle. And I hope that sits with you, because I think that's one of the reasons why I'm taking a little bit longer to heal. It's because part of my muscle's gone. But that kind of shows you that you might have a struggling journey like that where you're not going to look the same. And also, we should tell you that the bounce back period is a lot longer than you think. When you get implants, you get results immediately. You're full. They're there. They just need to settle. When you explant, it takes about 8 to 9 months to fully settle and fluff. That is 8 to 9 months that you have to be comfortable having boobs that don't look alike, that don't feel the same. They look a little off, and you can't wear really a bikini that you like because of that for 8 or 9 months, okay? That's a long time. So the bounce back from when you explant is just a lot longer than the bounce back from when you implant. And that's something that I wish I knew before I got breast implants. So deformities, little issues, you're going to look a little roughed up, something that you should think about before you get the breast implant in. Something that I absolutely didn't think about. Next page. We're almost done. Hang in there. I know it's been 20 minutes. It's a longer video. But there's some good stuff in here, guys. Okay. Number 6 would be explant experience is very hard. For me, it was harder than the implant experience because, again, I let my immune system completely tank. But what I'm kind of saying is when you explant, your body's doing different things. Some women get drains, some women do not. I did not get drains. And there are pros and cons to both. It's not that one is better than the other. It's more like which is better for your body in the moment. For me, I do kind of wish that I had drains because fluid has been an issue. Oh my gosh. If I don't wear my compression bandages where I need to wear them and when I need to wear them, aka when I'm sleeping, my body looks completely different in the morning than it did at night. And I'm being serious. Those fluids will go wherever you're not compressing them, was what I'm trying to say. And the fluids stick around longer because you're not draining them out. But drains in themselves are a pain in the butt. You risk infection, you risk pulling them. They're just high maintenance. Some women say they hurt to take out. Other women say that they don't. I don't know. There's pros and cons to both. You just got to kind of weigh what's better for you. But explanting has just been kind of difficult because my body does feel happier as a whole. My skin issues are finally, after 1 month, starting to go away. The whites in my eyes are brighter. Like, I am starting to see little changes. I didn't lose as much hair in the shower today, which I was kind of amazed. I'm like, there's got to be more. What the hell? There's more. And there wasn't. And I was like, yay! So I am definitely seeing changes. But what it took for my body to get there has been very rough. I can tell my body was trying to push out toxins through my skin. All the skin around my nail beds, hands and feet, completely died, turned completely white. There was no sensation. I was having to scrub it off or cut it off every single day. I got like patches of eczema and psoriasis in like random places in my body that I didn't have it before. I got a weird skin infection on my forehead that took me forever to get rid of. Like, I can just tell my body was trying to push and expel the nasty stuff that explants put in there. Okay? It was gross. And it was hard. And I am a very, very active person. I love working out. I love lifting weights. The gym is like almost a safe haven for me. It's a place where I can just kind of woo-saw. So not being able to work out has been really hard on me mentally and physically. So I tried doing just a light workout the other day. Didn't go well. All my sharp pains came back. I felt like burning sensation in my chest. It's just been a journey. And so one of the things that you have to do with explant is you have to start to detox. And detoxing is definitely a marathon. It's not a race. It's one of those where you've got to try a series of things that your body likes or that's going to work for you. I am very blessed to have the world's best massage therapist on the planet who has helped me with my detoxing process. I have the best chiropractor on the planet who's been helping me. I have all the ladies in my breast implant illness group who've been sending me supplements or giving me tips and tricks. I'm going to go see a holistic doctor, a naturopath, somebody who can help me detox and cleanse my blood from the inside out. I've got little things lined up, but the process to get there has been pretty draining. It's pretty hard, and every day is a little bit different. Sometimes my breast implant illness symptoms come back, sometimes they go away, sometimes they don't last as long, sometimes they feel a little bit different, but I know they're still there. I don't really know how to explain this any more than that. It's just that detoxing is extremely hard once you do remove the breast implants, and that's another thing. That is the final thing, number 6, that I wish I knew before I got breast implants. So my takeaways from this that I kind of want to touch base on, I want to go back to the confidence and the anxiety. So for my mental health people that stayed this long, I appreciate you. It's been a journey, isn't it? Confidence. The number one reason why women say that they want to get breast implants is to build confidence. I am here to tell you that did not do a darn thing for my confidence. Why, you ask? Well, confidence and security comes from deep, deep, deep within. And I mean deep. If you've been following my videos at all, you know that I'm learning to be a mental health practitioner. I'm learning life coaching. I'm learning psychology. I'm starting to study neuroscience. Like, there's a lot of little things that I'm dipping into that I'm eventually going to build my degree and build a platform off of. So I can tell you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my studies, confidence does not come from anything looks-wise, ever. Some of the most attractive people on this planet are literally the most insecure people you will ever meet. They cannot hold friendships. They cannot hold relationships. They're very sporadic and all over the place. They're just deeply insecure people, and it shows. And they're stunning. So there's absolutely something to this. In order for me to rebuild my confidence, I had to do months, and I mean months work of cognitive reprogramming, affirmations, meditation, self-love practices, and conditioning, all sorts of little things that I've talked about in a lot of my videos and videos that are to come that I will talk about. All these little things go to build confidence, and all of them are targeted to your inner self, your inner child, and self-talk and self-love. All of them. None, and I mean none of my confidence practices involve doing your eyebrows better, getting longer eyelashes, getting a bigger booty, getting breasts, and none of it. It's all very deep-seated. In fact, the most deep-seated that it goes, just to give you a little hint of this, in order to rebuild somebody's confidence from their core, you have to go back to every single hard moment that that person had in their life where that confidence was broken and rebuild it, reparent it, and rewire it. Yeah, it's a process. And I said every single one. And you don't think that you have a lot, but I guarantee you, once you start talking to a professional, somebody who's very good at ERMD or very good at sleep hypnosis, light sleep hypnosis, I'll explain that in a different video. You talk to these people and you get to see all of these things come out, and it's almost linear because it goes back from extremely, extremely early childhood, and it goes all the way to your teen years, to your first relationship, and so on and so forth. And you start breaking down all these moments in which confidence was broken, or you talked to yourself in a not so nice way and you got this not so nice belief. That's where confidence comes from, you guys. It does not come from the body at all. So for me, I can honestly look at you and tell you, yeah, I have rough days where I do wish that I had bigger breasts, but ultimately, they were a barrier for me. The people that were attracted to me when I had bigger breasts were not the quality of people that I wanted. And I don't know how to say this without like offending people because it sucks. I wanted deep, meaningful connections, but a bigger set of breasts, more inches on your male member, bigger muscles, a bigger booty. These are things that are not going to build deeper connections with anybody, ever. In fact, for deep, meaningful connections to be built, it has a lot to do with the mind and the spirit. It really genuinely does. And so I was attracting people who were just like me, insecure, didn't like the way that they looked, didn't like the way that they felt. And I no longer want to attract that type of person. I just don't. So if you want to talk to me about confidence and really talk to me about confidence, I'm already going to tell you getting breast implants is not going to help you whatsoever. You're still going to go home and pick at your skin. You're still going to nitpick at all of your flaws. You're still going to be projecting all of your insecurities on your partner or your parents. You're still going to carry all of this emotional baggage and trauma. None of that's going to go away with breast implants. So get rid of that. You're not doing this for confidence. You're doing this for desire. Women are really, if we're going to be really honest with ourselves, we're trying to make ourselves more desirable. So I want to ask you, to whom? To men? Well, which type of man? Do you want the guy that's going for just breasts and butt? I don't want that. I want someone to grow old with. Someone who we can support each other in ways that humans are just so uneducated on. Support and connectivity. I want that. I don't want somebody who's like, you're hot, and there's nothing else there. So you know what? Maybe getting rid of my breasts will help me to stop attracting that type of man. So let's go ahead and get rid of the confidence thing. Let's be honest. It's about desire. And my challenge for you, if you want breast implants or if you just got breast implants, who do you genuinely, and I mean genuinely, want that desire from? Ask yourself, it's none of my business. You do you. Anxiety, boom. I had a major anxiety disorder when I had breast implants, and I mentioned that in the beginning of the video, but I want you guys to understand how deep this was. It was so hard for me to not panic all the time. Any negative emotion that came, here I am learning how to process emotions and then teaching other people to do the same. But for me, it was extra hard. I had to do 10 times more work because I felt panicked all the time. You're upset? I'm panicked. I'm upset. I'm panicked. He's upset. I'm panicked. They just lost their job. I'm panicked. Am I going to lose my job? I'm panicked. Do you see what I'm saying? It was this constant nasty trail of anxiety that just kept going and going and going like the Energizer bunny. And I just got to the point where I was like in this loop where that anxiety would turn to depression. That depression made me feel worse about myself, worse about my relationships, worse about my life and the quality of it. And it was this reoccurring nasty negative circle that I've mentioned in a couple of my previous videos, where there is a cycle between anxiety and depression and how they interact with one another. There's a correlation there, and one can very easily turn into the other if you don't monitor it. So for me, anxiety was tenfold. And so if you are wanting breast implants, this is one thing that I need you to be very mindful of, is your mental state before you get them. Be very clear. Do you have an inner type of peace? Are you a relatively happy person? Do you already have depression? Is that something that might be escalated? These are things you need to think about. And I say that because what good is going to be having this banging body if you're depressed and anxious all the time and nobody wants to be around you? That's a pretty hard question to ask, isn't it? But it's one that I definitely encourage you to do so. So those are my takeaways from everything, is get rid of the confidence and understand that the anxiety can worsen. For me, I was trying to think of things that like might have predisposed me to getting breast implant illness. And I don't know if there is a correlation between the two, but this is something that I do want to mention. I always struggled with adhesives, like wearing Band-Aids. I'd always get like skin infections or skin abrasions from wearing Band-Aids. Even like eyelash glue tends to irritate me, so I have to go long periods of times without wearing eyelashes now. Like, I've always kind of been that way. I'd reject piercings. I've tried piercing different places of my body, even my ears. I didn't do well with heavy metals. I never have. So for me, I wish that was something that I kind of thought about. It's like, hey, your body doesn't do very good with foreign objects. You already have some pretty significant allergies. Would putting a foreign object in your body make those things worse? Would your body treat it the same way that it would treat the other things it's rejecting? I don't know if there's a correlation here, but this is something that I don't see any women in any of the breast implant illness groups really talking about. So I just want to mention this for the women who are thinking about getting breast implants. If you already have any type of autoimmune responses to anything, if you're already struggling kind of health-wise or mentally, if you're already rejecting foreign objects, maybe, just maybe, you might be more prone to rejecting breast implants. So lastly, I'm going to close this up. I know it's been a long video. If you've watched this whole thing, bless your heart, and I love you for it. Thank you so much. But to wrap this up, I will never, ever, ever tell a woman to do something or to not do something with her body. That's not who I am as a person. If you want breast implants, go get them. These are just the things that I'm saying you should know or be aware of before you go get them. And if you just got them, then these are the things that you should be monitoring for just in case you do reject them. There isn't a way to tell how many women will reject them versus how many don't. But I will tell you this. I've been in the breast implant illness groups for about 6 years or so, off and on, mostly on. And I've talked to a lot of women. And I mean like one-on-one, like where I'll DM a woman, we'll have a conversation about what's been going on and comparing. And I will tell you that when I first got into this, I didn't think that many women would reject. So I thought that the percentage was more around only like 30% of women will get breast implant illness. I actually now think that more women will get it than not. It just takes more time for some, depending on their already existing issues in their bodies and their lifestyle that they live, what they're eating, what they're doing. There's a lot of like little factors that go into your overall well-being. And eventually, as the implant breaks down, and if your body's breaking down as well, then you can see where there's going to come a point eventually. That has kind of caused me to start to think, you know what, I think there's more to this than not, especially because there's now like 4 different documentaries that you can watch. I think there's one on Netflix, there's Explant on Paramount, and there's a couple of other ones that have been done throughout the years that I've watched. I'll try to link the thing below, about what I was telling you, the women in the 90s who were trying to sue these companies. I'll try to link that as well if I can find it again. But all of these things are starting to make me believe that more women will experience breast implant illness than won't. And I could be wrong, but it's kind of worth mentioning if this many thousands of women, hundreds of thousands of women, are coming up and saying that there's something to this. Just begs the question. So do what you want to do with your body. Take from this information what you will. This is really just things that I genuinely wish that I knew, because then I could have prepared a little bit differently or done things a little bit differently or treated my body differently with implants as well. Maybe I wouldn't have let my body deteriorate to the point that I did, which would have made this experience of recovering so much better. I do want to land this on a positive, and I will tell you, I don't hate the way that my body looks, you guys. It's definitely different. Sometimes I have to double look at it, but I'm actually very nurturing of myself. I've been through a lot. My body has been through a lot. I have spent thousands of dollars and so much time being sick and going to doctors and trying to figure this out that it really just kind of took a toll. And I'm just really proud of myself for being able to come through it with a clear mind and feel better. I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. I do very much have my breast implants illness symptoms still right now, but I can see that a lot of them are trying and really trying to go away. And I look at my body as a place of health, inner wealth, and well-being. It really is a temple. I no longer look at it as this superficial thing that I need to please anybody with. I don't care if you think I'm attractive. I don't care if you want to see a girl with big titties and a big butt booty. Like, I don't care anymore. I love myself for who I am today, right now. And this to me has been a healing journey. And it's going to continue to be a healing journey. So to end on a positive, no, I don't hate the way that I look. And you shouldn't either. Whether you have implants, whether you want them, whether you've gotten them out, whatever your journey is on this whole platform, I will say to you, try to find acceptance and inner peace as much as humanly possible, because your body is a temple and you only have one life to live. It sucks to live it wanting to look a certain way. It really does. I hope this video brought you some sort of educational value for what it's worth. It's not like I'm a professional. This is more just my experience and what I went through. Good luck on your journeys, you guys. Definitely follow me for my mental health and relationship videos, because I'm still very much learning and diving into that every single day. At least 2 hours a day, I'm reading or learning or writing. I've done one of my own case studies that is still active. That is asking women, how do you like to be hit on by men? I'll do the opposite eventually. So it's not too late for that, ladies. If you want to chime in on that, I'll keep you anonymous, I swear, but please tell me, slide into my DMs. How do you like to be treated or hit on by men? What is successful? What do you like? What do you not like? What are things that are kind of scarring or traumatizing to you that have happened? I want to know. I'm doing a case study to help men and women build deeper connections. So it's not too late. Let me know. Ladies, how do you like to be hit on? In person and online via social media or dating apps. Holla. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging in here. I'll talk to you soon.